Please, I just need 5 more minutes. I'm so close to understanding it. The young teacher's voice echoed softly in the empty classroom as she stared at the whiteboard covered in advanced calculus equations. 28-year-old Rosalind Harper had stayed late again, trying to prepare tomorrow's lesson on differential equations, a topic that stretched even her mathematics degree to its limits. Behind her, the gentle sound of a mop sliding across linoleum paused. "Ma'am, I don't mean to interrupt, but you've got the integration constant wrong on the third line." Rosalind spun around, startled. The school cleaner stood in the doorway, mop in hand, his kind eyes apologetic behind wire-rimmed glasses. She'd seen him countless times, a quiet man in his early 30s who worked silently, always nodding respectfully when they passed in hallways. "I'm sorry?" she managed, confused. He hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. "The equation, line 3. You've integrated but forgotten to account for the boundary conditions. Should be plus c, not minus. Everything after that line compounds the error." Rosalind turned back to the board, checking her work. Her heart sunk. He was right. Completely, undeniably right. "How did you—" she began, then stopped, studying him more carefully. His worn uniform was impeccably clean, his weathered hands steady on the mop handle. But his eyes, intelligent, perceptive, held something she'd missed before. "I apologize," he said quickly, backing away. "I shouldn't have spoken out of turn. I'll just finish cleaning and—" "Wait," Rosalind interrupted gently. "Please, what's your name?" "Fletcher. Fletcher Crane, ma'am." "Fletcher," she repeated softly. "How do you know advanced calculus?" The question hung in the air between them, heavy with unspoken history. Fletcher's hands tightened on the mop handle. He'd spent 6 years being invisible in these hallways, carefully avoiding exactly this moment. But something in Rosalind's voice, genuine curiosity without condescension, made him answer honestly. I studied mathematics. A long time ago." "Where?" Rosalind asked, moving closer, her lesson plan forgotten. Fletcher's jaw worked silently for a moment. "MIT. I was a doctoral candidate, specializing in theoretical mathematics and quantum mechanics applications." The words seemed impossible coming from a man holding a janitor's mop. Rosalind's mind reeled. "What happened?" she whispered. Fletcher's eyes clouded with old pain. "My father got sick, stage 4 cancer. My mother, she's a seamstress, barely makes minimum wage. They'd sacrificed everything for my education, taken out loans they couldn't afford. When Dad's medical bills started coming," he paused, steadying himself. "I had a choice, finish my doctorate or save my father's life. There was no choice, really." Rosalind's throat constricted. "So you left MIT?" "Dropped out in my final year, sold everything, moved back home, took every job I could find to pay the bills. Dad lived another 2 years, good years mostly. He died knowing his treatment had been paid for, that Mom wouldn't lose the house." Fletcher's voice cracked slightly. "He thought I'd taken a leave of absence, that I'd go back. I let him believe that. It made him happy." Fletcher smiled sadly. "After he passed, I just couldn't go back. Too much time had passed. Too much debt remained. Mom still doesn't know I never finished. She thinks I'm working here temporarily while I figure things out. She's 68 now, still sewing, still dreaming I'll be Dr. Crane someday." The weight of his sacrifice settled over Rosalind like a heavy blanket. Over the following weeks, Rosalind found herself staying late more often, and Fletcher always appeared with his mop and his quiet brilliance. She'd work through problems aloud, and he'd gently correct her errors, explain complex theorems with elegant simplicity, illuminate concepts she'd struggled with for years. "You should be teaching this class, not cleaning it," she said one evening, frustration evident in her voice. Fletcher shook his head. "I'm a cleaner, Miss Harper. That's what I am now." That's what you do, Rosalind corrected firmly, not what you are. Their friendship deepened slowly, built on late-night conversations about everything from mathematics to life's cruel ironies. Rosalind learned that Fletcher read advanced physics journals while eating lunch in the boiler room, that he solved complex equations on napkins during breaks, that his brilliant mind had never stopped working despite his circumstances. One evening, Rosalind noticed a student's homework left behind, a particularly difficult problem set that had stumped her brightest pupil. On impulse, she left it on Fletcher's cleaning cart with a note. "Think you could help?" The next morning, she found the homework completed with elegant precision, each step explained in handwriting so careful that it brought tears to her eyes. But it was the note paperclipped to the assignment that broke her. Tell your student to believe in themselves. Intelligence isn't about getting the right answer immediately. It's about refusing to give up. I learned that from someone very wise. Rosalind stared at the note, then made a decision that would change everything. She drove to the administration building during her lunch break, requesting a meeting with Principal Davidson. The older woman listened as Rosalind explained everything: Fletcher's background, his sacrifice, his hidden genius. "He's cleaning our floors when he should be teaching our children," Rosalind concluded passionately. "We need to help him." Principal Davidson was quiet for a long moment. "Miss Harper, I appreciate your concern, but hiring procedures require completed degrees, proper certification, and frankly, we have limited budget for—" "Then let me teach him," Rosalind interrupted. "Help him finish his doctorate through distance learning. I'll tutor him in education theory for teaching certification. We can work around his schedule." "Why would you do this?" the principal asked, genuinely curious. Rosalind's voice shook with emotion. "Because talent like his shouldn't be wasted pushing a mop. Because he sacrificed his dreams for love, and someone should help him reclaim them. Because," she paused, "because isn't that what education is supposed to be about? Seeing potential and nurturing it, regardless of where you find it." Principal Davidson studied her, then smiled slowly. "You're right. Let me see what I can do." The conversation with Fletcher was harder. He resisted, embarrassed by the attention, convinced his time had passed. "I'm 32 years old," he protested. "My classmates are professors now, researchers. I'm 6 years behind."
"You're 32 years old with more life experience than most PhDs will ever have," Rosalind countered. "You learned what truly matters, that love means sacrifice. But Fletcher, your father wouldn't want your sacrifice to be permanent. He'd want you to finish what you started." "I can't afford." "The school has a scholarship fund for staff development," Rosalind interrupted gently. "Principal Davidson is willing to support your education if you commit to teaching here afterward, and I'll help you every step of the way." Fletcher's eyes filled with tears he'd held back for 6 years. "Why would you do this for me?" Rosalind smiled through her own tears. "Because someone once told me that intelligence is about refusing to give up. I'm just making sure you don't give up on yourself." 2 years later, Rosalind sat in the audience of Fletcher's doctoral defense, completed remotely through MIT's distance program. She watched him present his research on quantum mathematical models with the same quiet brilliance she'd first witnessed in that empty classroom. His mother sat beside Rosalind, crying softly. "I never knew," she whispered. "All this time, I thought he was just drifting. He never told me what he'd sacrificed." "He did it for love," Rosalind said gently. "The same reason he's doing this now, to make you proud." When Fletcher passed his defense with highest honors, the committee chair said something that would echo through both their lives. "Mr. Crane, your research is exceptional, but what's truly remarkable is that you never stopped learning, even when the world told you that chapter was closed. That's the mark of a true scholar." 1 year later, Fletcher Crane stood before his first class as Mr. Crane, advanced mathematics teacher. In the back row sat Rosalind, now the department chair, watching him write equations on the same whiteboard where she'd once struggled alone. After class, Fletcher found her waiting. "I never properly thanked you," he said quietly, "for seeing me, for believing." "You thanked me every time you refused to give up," Rosalind replied. "You taught me something important, Fletcher, that we're all walking past genius every day, in janitors, waitresses, bus drivers, people who sacrifice their dreams for love, who've chosen family over ambition. Our job is to see them, to remember that circumstance doesn't define worth." Fletcher's voice was thick with emotion. "My father once told me that education isn't about degrees on a wall. It's about never stopping learning, never stopping growing. I thought I'd let him down by leaving MIT, but maybe the real education was learning what truly matters and teaching others that same truth," Rosalind finished softly. They stood together in the empty classroom where their unlikely friendship had begun. Two people who'd learned that kindness means seeing past surfaces to the truth beneath. Sometimes the most brilliant minds are cleaning our floors, serving our coffee, or working jobs that don't match their potential. They're people who chose love over ambition, who sacrificed dreams for family, who never stopped learning even when their chapter seemed closed. Our job is to see them, to remember that a uniform doesn't define intelligence, that circumstance doesn't determine worth. And when we find these hidden treasures, these quiet geniuses walking among us, we have a responsibility to help them shine. Because true education isn't just about teaching subjects, it's about recognizing human potential wherever it exists and nurturing it back to life. The greatest gift we can give isn't knowledge, it's the belief that it's never too late to reclaim your dreams.
If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.